Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome back to the spring campaign for Arkham Horror, the card game. We're finally through the Waking Investigator's third scenario, so now we're going to make upgrades to the decks for the last time, along with the tarot readings for both sides. Every investigator in this upgrades video is going to have 7 experience to spend, except for Luke, who left 1 experience floating, and everybody has a trauma right now. So on the dream side, Jenny has a physical, Luke has a mental. On the waking side, Sister Mary has a physical, and Trish has a mental trauma. So in this video, we're going to do the upgrades, as I mentioned, for the last scenario of the campaign, and we're going to do the tarot reading for both sides. So with that, let's go to the Dreamers first, and we'll say hello first to Jenny. Hello, Jenny. We haven't needed charisma since after the second scenario when she got captured and lost access to Randolph. So our first order of business is going to be refunding charisma for 3 experience. Now, what I mean by refund is it is a house rule that I play with, but basically I get the experience back to be able to do something else with it. So the question is, what are we going to do with now 10 experience available for Jenny? Well, what we're going to do for Jenny is first we're going to make sure the sleeves are turned the right way. Then we're going to be making upgrades on the cards we see in shot. So first up, we're going to look at Money Talks. As we see, that turns a skill test into a resource test, with the base value being being equal to half the number of resources in your pool, rounding down. The upgrade here is taking these to level 2, which we're going to do. We now get a wild card on commit, and now we get to draw a card as part of the test for Money Talks. So we can get these unsleeved. I'm counting on Jenny to have a lot of resources to make this very useful. And then Hard Knocks, we're going to do something with that as well. So we're going to take Hard Knocks. We're going to take 1 copy up to level 2. The other one's going up to level 4 to help us spend the 10 experience. So we'll take a look at first level 2. The upgrade here drops it down to 0 and gets you an extra of each combat and agility on commit. The upgrade to level 4 brings it back to a 2 cost, but it also gives you 2 free resources that get replenished at the start of each round. So it's basically a free pair of resource dumps for combat and agility tests. We'll get those sleeved up. And of course, the deck lists will be updated by the time this video goes live. So that will do it for Jenny. Now let's move over to our Kluver. Let's move over to Luke. Hello, Luke. Our first order of business with you is going to be upgrading your other Read the Signs to level 2. So as we recall, the upgrade here gives us an extra wild card on commit. Also lets us pull it back to our hand if we pull a symbol. And I had to double check on Sister Mary's Bless. On one of the cards that check for symbols, the Bless and Curses do actually count for purposes of checking for symbols. So anything that affects symbols, Read the Signs, anything with the symbol clause will affect that. So that's upgrading Read the Signs to level 2. As for the rest of his experience, we had 1 floating from our last round of upgrades for Luke. So our first order of business is going to be taking the Fingerprint Kit and bringing in Arcane Studies level 4. It's basically Hard Knocks for will and lore tests. So you get 2 lore, 2 will on commit, and you get free resource dumps for same on those tests. We'll put that in. No, hold on. I try to keep the upgrades for each. I try to keep the deck progression together for each investigator. That way, when I take the decks apart at the end of the campaign, I only have to go to one place to get all the cards out. And then with the Hawkeye folding cameras here, we're going to do something mobility focused for the last scenario, and we're going to upgrade those to Pathfinder level 1. 3 cost to play, agility on commit. Fast action during your turn if you're not exhausted with any enemies, exhaust Pathfinder to move to a connecting location. So we can get the Hawkeye folding cameras unsleeved. We'll get the Pathfinders sleeved. That's everything for Luke on upgrades. Now let's move back up top for the Dreamer's Tarot reading. I've got the tarot deck right here in shot, so we'll go ahead and get the tarot reading done for the Dreamers here. Give this deck a shuffle. Give that a cut. And there are the two cards for the Dreamers that we'll take a look at for the tarot reading. First card up. The High Priestess 2. During the first lore test each investigator performs each round, they get +1 lore on the good side. Or on the bad, during the first lore test each investigator performs each round, they get -1 lore. That would put both of them up to a base of 4, pending any allies. Or we get to look at the Hanged Man 2. During setup, each investigator may take up to 2 additional mulligans on the good side, or each investigator can't mulligan or replace weaknesses in their opening hand. Resolve revelation abilities when the game begins. This is a tough decision because I don't like the idea of having my stats impaired, and that's going to get into a little bit of metagaminess because I've done this campaign several times, so I kind of know a little bit of what's coming, but I don't remember if I'm going to face lore other than on investigation, so I'm definitely against impairing that. On the other hand, having to deal with weaknesses right away could be a big problem. Plus, I know with False Awakening on the Dream side, we're going to have an extra Doom in play right off the bat that we're going to have to deal with. So, the question now becomes, which one do I like less? Or which one do I hate less is probably the better way to put that. They take up to 2 mulligans to craft their hand for -1 lore on the first lore test. And I gotta remember that's only on the first lore test. It won't affect subsequent ones. So I do need to keep that in mind. But being able to craft our hand could be a very good thing. We got away with flipping the Hanged Man 12. We got away with flipping the Hanged Man 12 on the third scenario. Well, we didn't really get away with that one. We weren't that hosed by mulligans, but I was not happy with our opening hand. So I think I'd rather bite the bullet and flip the High Priestess 2. Because being able to get our hand set to somewhere where I want it to be, I think is going to be too important starting this last scenario. So we're leaving good Hanged Man 12 +2 mulligans. And the bad is the High Priestess 2. I'm just making notes here. -1 lore. First lore test each round. Okay, we've got that figured out. Now let's move over to the Waking side. We'll start off with our upgrades, and we'll say hello first to Sister Mary. Hello, Sister Mary. I think we learned not to fall asleep in your class last week, because when you've got the machete or something more powerful, you tend to do evil things to the enemies that deserve it. So with that in mind, we're going to augment some of her firepower. We're going to take one of her runic axes that we haven't customized and her blessed blade and upgrade both of them to blessed blade level 4. So Blessed Blade level 4, the upgrade here to Blessed Blade gives us an extra will on commit. As an action fight, getting +2 combat for the attack, and if you're successful, deal +1 damage. Return each Blessed token revealed during this attack to the Chaos bag. Before revealing Chaos tokens for the attack, you may exhaust Blessed Blade to add 2 Blessed tokens to the Chaos bag. So we should end up with a lot of Blessed tokens in the bag, hopefully very quickly. We'll get those sleeved up. Alright, so that's all good there. Next, let's go say hello to Trish. Hello, Trish. Full disclosure, I took Dream Diary at the start of the campaign for 2 reasons. A, I was an idiot and forgot Trish can't upgrade the Dream Diary. She can translate it, but she can't get any further upgrades on it because all the upgrades for Dream Diary are level 3. So with that in mind, I figured it would be a card I'd cut earlier in the campaign, but I ended up having too much other stuff to do, so I never got back to cutting it. But we're going to replace the Dream Diary with a book that actually might be a little bit more useful in Esoteric Atlas level 1. 3 cost to play, agility on commit. Uses 4 secrets. Action, spend a secret and exhaust Esoteric Atlas. Choose a revealed location that is exactly 2 connections away from your location and move to that location. So we're trying to improve Trish's mobility a little bit more because we're getting ready. Well, I'm a little metagamey in how I'm making these upgrades. Next up, we're going to take a look at one of her copies of Investments. We're going to replace that with an Eon Chart level 4. This is actually a very good card. I'm surprised I didn't take this earlier. Eon Chart level 4. 2 cost to play, lore, agility, wildcard on commit. Uses 3 secrets. Fast action, during your turn, exhaust Eon Chart and spend a secret. Choose and take 2 of the following actions in any order. Move, evade, or investigate. You may remember this card with Mandy when we had her in our previous 2 fall campaigns. This thing was insanely good in Mandy. And another thing I should mention with these multi-class cards is when you've got a card that's multi-class like this and interacts with one or more of the deck building options, the multi-class card will always interact with the less restrictive deck building option. So in this case, Trish can take it because it's a rogue card and she's got access to rogue 0 to 5. So that's why she'll be able to take this card. And then with lockpicks, we're going to make a very similar upgrade to what Luke did earlier as we take Pathfinder level 1 for both of those. We're not going to rehash Pathfinder level 1 since we did that with Luke earlier. You can pause, you can go back to that video if you need a refresher on what Pathfinder does, or just pause it when I've got... Actually, you might be a little bit tight to read it, might be a little bit tough to read it there, so I'll hold it up to the camera. You can pause it there if you want to refresh on what Pathfinder actually does. So that's it for Trish's upgrades. That's actually it for all of our upgrades. But we need to do the Waking Tarot reading. And to do that, we need to move back up top. Once again, we've got the tarot deck right here in shot. So we're going to give this a shuffle and go through the tarot reading for the Waking Investigators. Alright, and here are the 2 cards that we get to look at for the Waking Investigators. First up we have the High Priestess 2 again. We saw this earlier. If we get the exact same tarot reading for the Waking Investigators that we had for the Dreamers, I'm shuffling these away. Next up, the World 21. Each investigator not defeated during this game may remove 1 trauma of their choice during its resolution on the good side, or on the bad, which we're probably going to flip to. Each investigator defeated during this game suffers 1 trauma of their choice during resolution. Given that this is the last scenario of the campaign, and if things go haywire here, campaign's over either way. If things go haywire, I don't think an extra trauma is going to matter. So, they're going to flip the World 21. So this time they get High Priestess, 2 +1 lore on first lore test each round. And the World 21 on the bad side. +1 trauma. Like I said, that's not likely to matter given that we are headed into the last scenario of the campaign. So tarot reading's all done for the Waking Investigators. Before we wrap this video up though, I did just get a delivery in tonight after I got home from work. So let's go ahead and unbox that real quick. I just got this delivery in from Noble Knight Games. This is a game I've been going back and forth on for a while. So let's crack this open and see what we've got in here. Okay. Again, Noble Knight not known for an excessive tape job, but sometimes they've got these weird boxes that they like to ship in. Okay, we got that open. So now we'll get this open after closing the knife carefully. There we go. And we've got, of course, their trade card, which can hit the bin. We'll get past the void fill to see that we're going to be greeted by... Holy cow, this is heavy. But to be expected. We've got Warfighter, the modern private military contractor game. I've gone back and forth with this one because I do enjoy Warfighter, and I really enjoy campaign-based games, so a campaign-based game set in the Warfighter universe theoretically should be very good. We'll give this a try at some point and see what I think of it. Take a quick look at the back. Watch your gear. That stuff isn't free. Warfighter Modern Private Military Contractor places a private military business in your hands. Warfighter Modern PMC is a cooperative game that places you and up to 5 of your friends in charge of hiring mercenaries, building your facilities, bidding on government contracts, and running tactical missions using the Warfighter system. It is up to you to successfully complete your missions and contracts and earn a profit to keep your company running. Warfighter Modern PMC can be played with 1 to 6 players. Each player gets a say in running the company and completing your contract missions. The game system controls the enemy soldiers. Warfighter does not require any special rules for solitaire play. 30 to 90 minutes, players 1 to 6, scale tactical individual soldiers. We'll probably do a deep product unboxing on this at some point, but that's getting slightly off topic for the main focus of this video. Let's go back to the main focus of this video and wrap everything up. That will do it for this last round of upgrades for the spring campaign. Tomorrow we're going to play Cartographers. We'll do a play along on that and I'll explain how that works when we get to that video. Saturday Mystical Munchies will conclude out of the Star Wars Galactic Baking Cookbook with the dessert, Tatooine Sandies. Memorial Day we're going to have both of the last 2 campaigns of the spring campaign. First up, the Dreaming Investigators will go into their last scenario as they venture where the gods dwell. Then on Monday, the Waking Investigators face their last scenario as they come face to face with the Weaver of the Cosmos. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.